2 against Ross Smith, and then just 1 leg in the quarterfinals against Josh Rock. It is all set up for him to not only take the title, but potentially do it in commanding fashion. Like watching Michael van Gerwen back in the day when he'd hoover up these titles and often only lose a handful of legs over the whole weekend. Chris Dobey, by contrast, we have seen all sorts. Because in his opening game against Connor Scott, no 180s but brilliant finishing and beat him 6-0. Against Luke Woodhouse, loads of 180s, dodgy finishing and just about got past him. Woodhouse did have his chances to win that one. And then against Michael Smith, he's played meh. It was okay, but Michael Smith had a bit of a shocker. Right now, you would think it needs to be brilliant if Chris Dobey is going to reach a first Euro Tour final in years.
He knows in his own mind how good it has to be.
81.
Because I think a lot of people who are watching around the world are probably thinking the same as a lot like the players who are left in this tournament. Maybe Little has already had his bad game in this tournament in the previous round, and it wasn't even that bad.
95.
His 99 average was better than any average Chris Dobey has produced so far this weekend. But we also know that Chris Dobey, the week started brilliantly by winning a title on the floor.
97.
Can it end brilliantly by winning his first Euro Tour title on the big stage?
96.
Long time since he won a semi-final. 2019 in Copenhagen, he beat Gezi Price 7-4.
132.
The last time he was in a semi-final, he lost to Gezi Price by 7-3 in Kiel last year. But if that 7-4 victory against Price is an indicator, it just might be, if you believe in signs. Because every time that Little has lost in a semi-final on the European Tour, it has been 7-4.
We can require 89.
What's the last semi-final was that? Against Danny Knopfler.
64.
He misses the bullseye to break Dobey in the opening leg. Is Dobey going to be looking at the bullseye here?
You've got to guarantee it. Just go high. Don't worry about that one. Just go high. Now be straight and on point.
65. Look, you require 25.
Finishing's been excellent from Littler so far this weekend. He started well in this semi-final. 1-0 Littler with a break of throw. Already Chris Dobey is under it.
Very reminiscent of what he did to win his second world title. First person ever to finish over 50% for a world championship tournament in the PDC.
And win it.
And average over the 100 mark.
140.
And we know that Littler doesn't play all the Euro Tours. He's been dodging Germany like there's some outbreak of bubonic plague in the country for quite some time.
Oh, he's not going to Göttingen.
I don't think he will be going to Göttingen, no. However, he has played
57.
enough where we've got a good old sample size of his games played and games won. And very interestingly, he is running at the minute at 82% win rate. That is more than Michael van Gerwen's win rate on the European Tour, courtesy of the red bit. However,
require 87.
We'll see if he takes this out. It's the Littler route to leave double 15, and that's the danger.
75.
He'll come back for double 6. Dobey only halfway down from 501. If you went back to Van Gerwen at the peak of his Euro Tour domination, the back end of 2018,
94.
his win rate was more than 87%, higher than even Phil Taylor's.
Game on the second leg, Luke Littler. Delegates Christopher.
2-0 Littler. This is not looking good for Dobey. He is not even out of the starting blocks yet. Curiously, it's 2026. We're approaching the 10-year anniversary since Phil Taylor's last victory. That was Vienna 2016.
It was. Didn't play a huge amount of Euro Tours, Phil Taylor. Obviously, there weren't as many back then. Big, and some would argue, namely me, best part of the darting calendar each year.
58.
One thing Chris has done over the last couple of years, even though he's had
59.
some cold spells on the Euro Tour, he broke the streak of losing early on Sundays to make 3 semi-finals over the last couple of seasons.
140.
2 in 2024, 1 last year, and he's starting this year well in that respect.
Yeah, there's certainly room for improvement. I don't think he'll be happy with how he's played exactly, certainly all throughout the weekend. And if he continues to play at this level, he's likely to lose quite heavily to Littler, and it will be, yeah, all right, I've put some money in the bank and I've won some games, but it's not what I was after.
Yeah, it's a question of perspective. Some people are happy with the semi-final, and then there are people like Chris who desperately craves another crack at a title. He won as many titles as he has. It's about legacy and about putting himself into the kind of confident zone that could worry something like the UK Open or a Players' Championship Finals or even something bigger than that.
138, because you require 57.
He's got a first leg. It's the doubling leg for Dobey.
47.
Not good enough on this occasion.
66.
Tops.
46.
This is not
Christian require
a glittering performance from Luke so far. He's been gettable, and Dobey can't miss this. He shouldn't miss that. That was a pure shot. He didn't even need the marker. It was a wonderful dart from Chris. But is this the portion of the game where Littler starts to move into a different gear? He has been known as a slow starter sometimes. Every now and again, he'll just blitz someone completely, start to finish.
140.
You mentioned sample size, Dan. We've got enough over the last 2 and a bit years to know that if he has a slow start, just wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, the turbos are going to get touched at some point, you feel. So if he's vulnerable, you've got to win some legs. Ross Smith won the first 2 earlier, then lost the next 6 as Littler moved through the gears.
Trying to get a better angle on this. Genius.
135.
He's trying to float that third one in.
Yeah, it did seem to be a little alteration to the action. Down there. Here we go. Bit of a fight back from Hollywood. We'll have a level game in a moment.
130.
Nobody seems to do the flatty anymore.
Which requires 60.
Gurney doesn't do it. Littler doesn't do it. It's out of fashion. Oh, that was never going to fashion. How's that gone in? That's in off the bar.
Game on.
Skidded that one in, but he'll take it.
Wouldn't mind seeing that in slow motion.
60.
I think that's done a triple toe loop on the way through.
There you go, caught the flight, just sort of the back end went down, the front end kicked up, and it kicked up straight into the tops.
If you are starting to think that this is an easy situation for Littler, he's never lost in the first European Tour of the year in his career. He's 14 wins out of 14 games. He will not feel that way. He knows how world-class Dobey is. But if you're looking for chinks in the armour, you might have found one.
180.
It's not that. But at least Dobey's starting to find maxes. Littler's lost 2 of his last 3 semi-finals.
127.
That's it. That's all I've got.
121.
I'll give you another one in a minute as Dobey eyes up the 1-2-1 for the lead in this game. 51 needed and not found.
57.
What's the route for Littler? Treble 18, he could go bull. He loves a bullseye. Loves the bullseye. That leaves tops.
54.
It's high now. Dobey to lead this game from 2-0 down.
That's okay. This is plan B. Now, this is plan A.
44.
That wasn't part of the plan.
Not a good visit, that was it.
Games on the 5th
Well,
leg.
that's going to have to go down as a real opportunity that Chris Dobey has let slip through his fingers, because not only has he missed the chance to lead, but he's been broken there. However, if you are looking for, well, maybe Chris Dobey can beat Luke Littler here. Look at the Premier League last year, where despite the fact that Luke Littler topped the table, obviously losing out in the final,
57.
topped the table, Chris Dobey won 2 of their 3 meetings.
Yeah, and Dobey mastered Rotterdam.
93.
In the words of Michael van Gerwen, that's the hardest place to play in the Premier League. Maybe for a couple of reasons. The pressure he's under in the Netherlands, and
41.
he's talked about other atmospheric factors.
Yeah, the force 8 gale that's effectively created by 10,000 Dutch darts fans.
126.
That's a really interesting approach shot there from Littler. I wonder if he's going to try that again to leave double 10. This is very much Michael Smith. I'm going to concentrate on one section of the board to try and leave the double I want. It's genius.
138.
There's that one where he just gave himself a little beat longer, almost seemed to sort of float it in, felt like. It is freakish how this man just changes up his throwing style and still maintains this
44.
incredible level of accuracy.
Games on the
That's
6th
accurate.
leg. Luke Littler.
Very much so. And do you know what it is?
Game
It's not just because he's on a certain number. It's an opportunity to try and change things up, to create a different neural pathway. That sounds a bit too much sometimes. However, this is how he plays the game. It's like a video game. If he can't get through the way he usually wants, he'll try and
60.
find another way. That's why they said at the start of his career he had cheat codes.
Yeah, it is an extraordinary mastery of this game
119.
that Luke Littler has.
You ever seen Michael Smith on 264?
I mean, probably.
100.
Tries to get 122 with 2 treble 17s and then 2 treble 17s for tops. Honestly, it bends your brain what some of these incredible dart players from the northwest of England can do. Not just with their arm talent, but what they've got in between the ears.
100.
Couldn't fill it up to get to a finish. Dobey still in a decent position in this leg.
Yeah, that's more than decent.
34.
Can he afford to let Littler get to 5? I don't think he can afford to miss this 50.
71.
Not anymore.
50.
Don't miss.
Games
Doesn't
on the
miss.
7th leg.
Excellent stuff. 14 darts to Chris Dobey. He
Game
continues to hang in there. It is a race to 7, remember, in the semi-finals. Slightly extended format.
Based on previous semi-finals, if Littler does get to 5, he wins. Every time he's lost, it's been 7-4. Lost to Noppert in Hungary last year in the semi, 7-4. Lost to Van Veen in Munich. I don't think he's played a European tour in Germany since then. And he lost in Czechia to Humphreys in 2024. Well, that was some game. 108 versus 106.
Yeah, that one of the highest quality European Tour events we've ever seen, that one in Prague. Littler's starting to find the big scoring visits. Only 180. A 171 in there as well.
85. Look, you require 85.
You could easily sit here and say he should have started somewhere else, but he didn't. And it didn't make any difference because Littler takes the shot out anyway. He gets to 5 and is 2 in front once again.
Chris Dobey must win 4 legs before Luke Littler wins 2. He is 10 points behind in the averages. Worryingly, Littler is starting to find the treble a little bit more regularly. His average has been climbing and climbing over the last few legs. Look where it is now.
Well, they're the match averages, and they're pretty much the tournament averages as well.
180.
This incredible streak
84.
in the first European Tour event of the season, if it continues, it means that Littler's got that gift of time.
58.
Well, it's
An
what
option.
Humphries was talking about earlier in the week.
Yeah. Win your money, you've got options. You can take time off, you can manage your schedule because you're not chasing.
180. 167.
Can't get the treble, but would have started the combination for the 167.
99. Look, you require 138.
Where's he going? Seen some big 138s in world darts over the last 50 years.
98. Chris, you require 68.
This would be a big 68. Double four.
64.
Oh, no.
Look, you require 40.
He's in trouble now.
Feels like curtains.
Game show the
Because
ninth
that
leg,
puts Littler
Luke
one leg away.
10th leg is Luke to throw first.
Got the darts
Game
in his
on.
hand. And when you look at this match, a dart at the bullseye for a 90 in the very first leg, a dart at tops for a 64 in leg 5, and a couple of darts at double 4. If Dobey takes all of those chances, this scoreline is reversed. But that's what Littler does to you. If you're going to play at this level, which is okay from Dobey without being brilliant, you're going to have to take all your chances.
You said it might be curtains. Well, quite frankly, compared to his quarter-final, this is blinding. Maybe he's been fired up by the Van Veen performance against Nyman.
90.
Maybe he set the tone for what is needed to win this tournament. Take out Dobey, he's going to have to beat Humphries or Van Veen to get the title.
141.
If Dobey goes out in the next few seconds, the top 3 players in the world are left.
78. Look, you require
To win it with a
40.
10-darter. That's an 11, and that is a 7-3 win for Luke Littler, who continues to dominate in the opening European Tour event of the year. The last 2 years, he's taken the first title of the year.